Before we get started, my friends, we got a great sponsor. We got Home Title Lock, my friends. Make sure you go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code TIM. If you're a homeowner, listen to this. When's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof you own your house. The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, and pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing. Find out today if you're already a victim. Use promo code TIM at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now. Use promo code TIM. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code TIM. Shout out. From ABC News, ladies and gentlemen, Dow closes up 2,962 points in market rally as Trump backs off of some tariffs. The president also announced a China tariff increase to 125%. This is a manic news cycle? Is that one way to describe it?
Yeah.
Every day it's something else. ABC News says the United States closed with major gains on Wednesday after Trump announced a 90-day pause on some tariffs. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed 2,962 points, marking the index's best day since 2020. So this is the largest. So here's what ABC doesn't want to say. They're basing it on percentage points. So let's make sure we clarify this for you guys. Percentage point growth-wise, it is not the biggest. The biggest in 2020. Straight market points, it's the biggest rally in history. The previous largest rally, I think, was around 2020 with 2,100 points. So this was massive, meaning a lot of people got very, very rich.
To put that in perspective, anyone didn't quite understand, to anyone that already understands, hear me out. If the Dow's at 1,000 and it goes up 100 points, the entire market's gone up 10%. If the Dow's at 10,000 and it goes up 100 points, the entire market's gone up 1%. So the points it's not so important how many points it was, it's what percentage of the total has increased. And that's what Tim was explaining, that in 2020 we had the largest percentage increase. This is what, the second largest percentage?
Yeah, so I think having to do with, I'm pretty sure having to do with COVID, we saw the biggest percentage bump. But in terms of raw numbers, 2,962 is the largest point.
Do you know what it's at now?
The market was at 41 or something. Actually, we do have it pulled up. It's at 40,608. Look at this.
Jesus.
S&P is up 474.13. NASDAQ is up 12.16%. That's crazy. So, Donald Trump led China in a game of chicken. China lost. Trump now drops the tariffs for the most part. And I saw Bill Ackman. He's this billionaire who's flipped and he's been pro-Trump. And he's saying that masterfully played, brilliant strategic move by Donald Trump. Our buddy David Pakman chimed in and said, what deal? What did he do? All he did was set fire to the system, and then when he reversed it, claimed there was a big market gain or something. I'll tell you, the market took a hit when Trump announced tariffs. Big tariffs. 30%, 90%. A few days later, Trump walks it all back to a flat 10%. And everyone's cheering for him. This is literally textbook art of the deal, big ask. Trump says, we're going to put a big tariff on everybody. Everyone freaks out and goes, okay, fine. You win, only 10%. And everyone's like, yay. And the market rallies.
I mean,
predictable.
I don't claim to know whether he intended this or not. I mean, the arguments that, he was concerned about the stock market, that does make a certain degree, or the bond market, that does make a certain degree of sense. But maybe he did have a plan. I don't know what the guy's thinking. I'm not in the White House.
Yeah, it's almost like, was he thinking? Was he going on a gut hunch? Like, that's kind of, when you're really making deals, you're kind of going with your gut. You're not really thinking with your, you definitely have already done the thought processes in your brain before you go into the deal making room, but you're moving with your gut and your intuition. And this, I think, one thing that gives me a lot of hope in this whole thing is the rapidity that Trump and Xi Jinping have escalated things. Like, there's no hesitation. It's like they're both enjoying it.
I mean, China's a serious threat to the United States, and people that think that China is just like a rival or whatever, they think that it's not a big deal or that we can come to agreements. Like the way that the Biden administration treated China was absolutely, I mean, it was derelict in my opinion of dereliction of duty. Like he was not protecting the United States from China. China's making massive gains in energy production, and with AI being the kind of the tech of the future, you need that kind of energy production. You need a massive ability. They've got another dam that's coming up that's going to be built in the next, I think, 5 years, maybe 10 years, that's going to be able to power, or that will produce enough energy where it could power the entire country of Germany, right? The Three Gorges now is huge, and the U.S. is falling so far behind the Chinese in it when it comes to just energy production that it's going to be a real big problem.
So I'm gonna break this down real simply for our Democrat friends. Phil, what would happen if you and I were trading and you were buying $1,000 worth of donuts from me, but I was only giving you $500 every month?
I would stop buying them.
But you have to keep buying them. You have to.
Have to keep buying them. Well, I mean, I would be losing out, wouldn't I?
You'd be going into debt.
Yeah.
You'd start selling off your assets to pay for your donuts. And this is what the United States has been doing for 30 years. A trade deficit, which people don't really understand. If we're buying from China and they're not buying from us, they are extracting from us. We are not producing wealth. We are on borrowed time. What ends up happening to a person who, Phil, what happens when you run out of money, but you have to buy the donuts?
You go into debt. You put it on your credit card. Sometimes you refinance your house to buy the donuts.
It's a nice watch. I'll take your watch from you.
You could sell property.
And what's been happening, China's been buying up land because the U.S. needs to keep buying from China as per their addictions. And the money goes to China, and China uses it to buy what they can from us. If we don't produce things that they can buy and trade, they buy our land from us, and then they're renting that land out to Gen Z.
It seems like having a foreign country own land in our country is antithetical to having a country.
Agreed.
So wrong, especially like a country that's hostile toward America the way China is. It doesn't make any sense to me. When I heard they were buying up all this farmland, I'm like, why are we allowing this?
Yeah. Well, it's private deals, right? So people of any country are allowed to start companies in the United States. They do. They can invest, and business people will brag about the investment from these countries into our country, and then they put in offers. There was a real estate agent who tweeted at me earlier and said that we largely are seeing Indian and Chinese buyers. They're buying multiple homes and they're renting them out. And so what happens? Gen Z owns no homes. I think Gen Z owns like 4% of the housing market right now. 4% of homes are owned by Gen Z. At the same time, when boomers were Gen Z's age, they owned, I think, like 40% of the houses.
And we're looking at 3 to 4% now. Is that what you said?
So Gen Z currently owns around like 3 or 4%.
Jeez.
Wow.
Boomers at the same. So when Gen Z was 20, max age. So right now, so this is 8 years ago. When Gen Z reached the age of 20, they owned about 4%. When boomers reached the age of 20, they owned 20%. Today, Gen Z owns, I think, like 7 or 8%, and boomers own like 70.
What? Oh,
or some ridiculous number.
What I don't like is...
I'm sorry, I have the numbers wrong. It's 4% of Gen Z owns a home, and 20% of boomers owned homes at the same age. So right now, boomers, 77%, or it's like 80-something% of boomers own homes, and many multiple homes. 72% of Gen X owns homes. 45% of millennials own homes, and then Gen Z is at like 7 or 8.
Yeah, because it's compounding, just like our debt is compounding. So like the amount, the wealth distribution, the value of dollars, it's going down at a compounding rate. And what I don't like is wealth redistribution. I don't like it when the government comes in and seizes property, and then for whatever purpose, like they're doing in South Africa, they might feel wronged by the colonization of South Africa by the British Empire at some point, so they want to seize it back.
British Empire?
Yeah, the British got in there and
no,
Serge.
No,
they came down. What? They came to South Africa after it was already populated by the Dutch.
Right?
The Dutch. So they're being expelled.
So
the purpose is foreign people out is basically the idea, and I don't want to see that here. I don't want to get to that point. So, but it seems just wrong that we would allow them to buy farms or residential property.
Well, so right now the market is this is what Trump did this on purpose. Okay, here's what the left doesn't understand about a plan. A plan has variables, but these people don't understand multi-layered thinking or multi-ordered thinking. So I'm not surprised that they're like, Trump didn't plan for this. How could he have? Well, you see, let me explain. When I play a game like chess, okay, and I'm going to move a pawn, I don't think if I move this, I will. That's it. I'm going to move my pawn. This is how you tend to see liberals think. Hey, that pawn should be moved. Okay, here's how Trump is thinking. If I move this pawn, he might move his knight there. He might move his bishop there. If he moves his bishop, I'm going to move my knight. If he moves his queen, I'll move another pawn. So you're contemplating. I am starting a plan. There are multiple variables. Depending on what happens, I will take a different course of action. It may not work out as I'm hoping. I'm hoping that if I make this move, my opponent will move his queen, which I can then trap him. But if he doesn't do that, my plan won't work. I'll have to find another way forward. They don't get it. So they're like, how could Trump have planned for this? There's one really obvious piece of evidence that Trump intended to do this, that there was a play. And it is that, as I've stated from the moments he implemented universal tariffs, blanket universal tariffs do not make sense on layer one. You all know it. I said it the entire time this happened. The moment he introduced these, I said it does not make sense on layer one unless there is another play, a deeper plan we don't know about. Because putting a tariff on bananas makes no sense. We don't grow bananas here. Putting a tariff on Honduran or Guatemalan coffee makes no sense. We can't grow that here. We have one coffee. We have Kona. So Trump doing blanket tariffs means he's thinking about something else. Mr. Beast made the point that he has to import cocoa beans to make the chocolate here in the United States. And now that there's tariffs, he might as well make them somewhere else. Exactly. So Trump drops all the tariffs back down. What do we end up with? If Trump came out and said, we're going to put a 10% tariff on anything, the market crashes like it did. So he comes out and says, it's going to be 30, it's going to be 40, it's going to be 90, it's going to be 10, it's going to be 60. The market crashes. He then comes back and says, okay, you win. I'm pulling tariffs down to 10%. The market rallies to the largest growth in the history of this country. And he's got the 10% tariffs universally, which still doesn't ultimately make sense unless, once again, there is another play here. Now, what did Trump say he wanted to do when he was running for office?
We wanted to swap out income tax for tariffs.
Boom! Ian got it. So when he does a universal tariff, how does that make sense? He's bragging about generating $2 billion a day in tariff revenue. If his intention is to gut the IRS, gee, what's been going on at the IRS? They laid off how many people? They're planning on laying off half of the IRS workforce. It may be that Trump is the dumbest guy ever who just slipped in a banana peel and landed in a pile of $1 billion. I doubt it. Or he has a strategy. That doesn't mean he will succeed. It doesn't mean his strategy is right, but it certainly means there's more to what we are seeing with the play he's making.
You know, and like I think Phil mentioned earlier, it's impossible to know what exactly was going through his head, but you're right. That is what happened. He created a large threat to the entire world, brandished the fire of America's tariff potential. People cowered, freaked out, panicked, and then he withdrew it. And he was like, now you know what we can do.
Pulled it down. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The market rallied, and the tariffs are still there. It's amazing.
One thing about tariffs, this is a little bit of a tangent. I'm interested in what you guys think. President's only allowed to do this if it's a state of emergency.
Yep.
And we've been technically at a state of emergency, I think, since 9/11. And I don't feel like you could argue that the border crossings have produced an emergency. You might say the global economy is teetering, so there's an emergency. But like, at what point do we kind of say like, okay, maybe we're not in a state of emergency anymore? Well, actually, I mean, I can argue this with myself. I mean, I think the Federal Reserve co-opting our banking system has created a national emergency.
Yeah, but the president couldn't use the Federal Reserve as a reason to say we're in an emergency. That's just saying that the system that we use has caused an emergency. I don't think that would fly at all.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.